What's going on, nation? Today I want to discuss with you guys one of the worst mistakes you can make when deadlifting that can cause either a bicep tendon strain or even worse, a bicep tendon tear. Now it seems like a lot of us when we deadlift, our main focus obviously is our form, but most of it seems to go to making sure we don't round our lower backs, which obviously is a very important thing when it comes to deadlifting. But believe it or not, the most common injury in terms or when it relates to deadlifting is actually has to do with your bicep tendon being strained or torn. And what I'm gonna do for you guys in this video is show you how you can set up for your deadlift to make sure that you can avoid ever having one of these bicep injuries. So let's talk about the setup for a traditional barbell deadlift. What you're gonna do is you're gonna stand with your feet about shoulder width apart, and that might vary depending on how you like to deadlift. When I first started deadlifting, it was really close like this, and now I'm pretty much shoulder width. And as you go down to grab the barbell, you're keeping your arms as straight as you can, your chest up, and as you grab the barbell, you're making sure there's no bend in your lower back. So your chest is up, no flexion in your lower back. Now, if you're grabbing the barbell with a double overhand grip like this, you're not really putting your biceps in a compromised position to where you could really run into a bicep injury. I mean, anything is possible, but you're not putting the kind of strain on your bicep that's going to really cause that tear to happen, or the most common way the tear happens. The most common way you'll get that bicep tendon tear, and it's the distal bicep tendon, so it happens down here, is when you go to a switch grip. And the reason being is because once you turn your arm like this, you'll notice it's the same position you'd have your hand in if you were doing a bicep curl. Because obviously if you're doing a bicep curl, you're working the bicep, you're putting a lot of pressure in this area. Now, if you're going into this position and you're gonna lift the bar into the air and you have a slight bend in your elbow, it pretty much puts the entire load of the barbell into your arm and into your bicep and on the tendon. And that's where the tear can happen. So when you get into position, I mean, not only do you want to have your arms locked out to have the distance the bar has to travel as short as possible, but if you get into position like this and you lock your arms forward and you flex your triceps and then pull the weight up, you're not putting much pressure in your arm because your arms are locked out. Now, if you have a slight bend in your elbow, and then you begin to pull the bar up, you'll instantly start to feel it, the load of the bar on your bicep. And this is actually how I injured myself about a month ago when I was doing my max pull. I did a 515 deadlift. And there was a couple reasons why I actually strained my arm. And number one reason was because I had my arm slightly bent as I pulled the barbell up. And even to this day, I got really lucky I didn't tear my bicep, but my brachial radialis is super sore, and I have to massage the belly of my biceps a lot just to try to help the area heal quicker. Now, since injuring myself, and this was like a week after my buddy tore his chest tendon, you guys saw that video. So now I'm like in this huge state of, oh my God, I'm gonna rip my bicep in half. And that kind of, I mean, obviously mentally it did impact my workouts, but I was dealing with, you know, a strained bicep. I actually strained both arms, but this one didn't really get strained as much or nearly as much because it was facing in like this. The problem was, as this arm was probably locked out and this one had a slight bend in it, and that's where the injury happened. So what I've been doing is I've been lowering the weight and I've been working my way up. I think the heaviest I've deadlifted since the injury is maybe 455, but I've been staying within the 225 to 405 range and working with rep ranges there and really practicing getting into place and locking out my arms, because it does feel weird if it's something that you haven't really focused on before. Because in the past, all I was doing was I was getting into position, all right, getting pumped up. I went down and grabbed the bar, boom, and I'd start deadlifting. I wasn't really focusing on, okay, make sure those arms are locked on every single repetition. And so what you guys are gonna have to do now is spend time really focusing and making sure you're locking out your arms. So when you get into your deadlift position, I want you guys to go down and grab the bar just like this. Make sure when you lock your arms out, you're not pushing your shoulders forward, and that can happen. Make sure you're still keeping neutral shoulders as you grab the barbell, and then lock your arms just like this, and then perform the repetition. You should feel your tricep flexing as you're doing the deadlift. And if you have to reset after each repetition just to make sure you're locking out your arms, then that's what you want to do. And what you can also do is you can flex your back a bit as you lock out your arms, and that's going to help you feel a bit more solid as well. Now, another common way that people get injured, and this actually also helped with my injury, is pulling the slack out of the bar. And so I had this on video, and so I watched and I saw exactly what happened. So on top of not mentally focusing on locking out my arms, I noticed that when I went to pull the slack out of the bar, which is something that I was kind of relatively new to when I was doing it instead of been practicing, is I went down to grab the bar and I was going like this and I was jerking the bar to pull the slack out. You're not supposed to do that. I mean, you want to get down, you want to lock your arms out, and you want to push through your feet to pull the slack out of the bar. That way everything up here stays nice and solid. And so when I went down and started pulling the slack out of the bar, I was going like this. And I'm going to exaggerate, but what happens when you go like that? You're bending your arm and then locking it out. And so if you're lifting a lot of weight and you get down and you pull the slack out of the bar like this, it's like you're going from 0 to 100 in terms of how much weight or how much of a load you're putting on your bicep for that pull. And so when you pull the slack out of the bar, you want to practice this as well. So get down, lock out your arm, pull the slack out of the bar by pushing through your feet, and then once you feel the slack's gone, then go for the lift. And it's going to take some time for you to perfect this. And another tip I want you guys to keep in mind is make sure when you switch from overhand grip to a switch grip that your arms are still evenly placed on the bar. Some people have a habit of going to a switch grip and grabbing way too close or way too far. So it changes the load of how much weight is on each arm. And you always want to make sure that when you get down and you grab the barbell, that you grab it wide enough so that obviously you're not pushing your knees in and you're not grabbing so wide that it puts a lot of pressure on your arms. You want to have your arms as straight as possible. So keep that in mind. Couple things, I'll recap. When you get down into position, make sure you're locking out your arms. If you're going to pull the slack out of the bar, make sure that you're pulling the slack out by pushing through your feet. And then also make sure when you're using the switch grip that you're grabbing the barbell so your hands are placed evenly on the bar. Now there's just a couple more things I want to talk about in terms of avoiding an injury when doing a deadlift. Now this is something I used to do all the time, and it's bouncing the weight off the ground. Now obviously if you're picking up the barbell and you're bouncing it off the ground, I mean, how much muscle activation are you really getting? I mean, there's a reason why I was able to deadlift 315 30 times in a row, because that little bounce helps out a lot. Now what happens when you bounce the barbell? And I'm going to show you guys. So when you come down and bounce the bar, see how my arms jiggled? Everything got really loose. So if I'm going like this and I'm bouncing and bringing it up, did you guys see what happened? As I came down, my arms bent and then I pulled right back up again. And so I'm basically doing the same thing that I said not to do as I bounce the barbell. I'm going from a slight bend to a full extension really fast. So that obviously puts you in a very compromising position to get a distal bicep tendon tear and really mess up, obviously, your gains for a while, because you're going to have a torn bicep. Now, another thing that people do is when they deadlift, for whatever reason, they bring the bar up and then they start to shrug it. Now, obviously, when you do a shrug, you're able to keep your arms perfectly straight, but a lot of times I notice what happens with people is when they shrug the weight at the top, they end up bending your elbow like this, and that puts all the load on the bicep as well. So not as common of an injury to tear your bicep by doing the shrug, but it can happen. And then one last thing, when you guys are doing your bicep workouts, utilize this time to actually strengthen the area and strengthen the tendons. So if you're not used to doing a full extension, make sure with every single repetition you do a full extension, bring the weight all the way up and all the way down with each arm to help strengthen the area and strengthen the tendon during your bicep workout. And now I'm going to show you guys some tips in order to help you heal if you do happen to strain your bicep. Since injuring myself, there's been a few different things that I've done to help speed up the recovery process. What you have to understand is you need to get blood to the area, help circulate blood to the area so more oxygen and nutrients get there to help with the healing process. But when it comes to a tendon, it takes a lot longer. It can take weeks to months in order for it to heal properly or 100%. Also, if you tear your bicep tendon, obviously these techniques aren't going to work for you because you're going to need surgery, and it's a whole other process. So this is talking about someone who might have had a strain. Now, if you have a lot of inflammation in the area, one of the best things you can do to start off with is icing the area. And what you want to do is get an ice pack, and you don't want to just hold it where it hurts or where it's inflamed. You want to apply pressure and then move it around, okay? And you want to do that for about 15 to 20 minutes. Then take the ice pack off for 30 to 45 minutes, and then you can re-ice it again. There is such a thing as icing too much. There have been some cases where you can actually give yourself frostbite from keeping the area too cold for too long. So it's important to make sure that you are rotating it if you're doing that. And another thing you can do, if you can afford it, or if you can find somebody who's really good at it, is go see a massage therapist who specializes in sports and sports injuries, and they'll know what to do in order to get in there, help massage the area, work things through, and then give you some tips that you can do at home to help massage the area out as well. But I'm going to show you two things really quick with the foam roller and this massage tool that I like to use. This is my foam roller, and this is going to be your best friend and worst enemy. It doesn't look like much, but it can put you in a lot of pain, depending on how sore you are, but that's a good thing. So what I use this tool for is to basically foam roll out the entire area, so basically giving myself like a self-massage. And what you want to do is get down on the ground, and I like to start off with the foam roller pretty much on my shoulder, and then from here I put my arms straight out, and I kind of roll my body and adjust how much pressure I'm putting on my bicep and on the area as I roll. And I roll nice and slow. This actually hurts a lot right now, but I'm not gonna cry on camera. And so as I go back and forth like this, I'm helping, squeeze blood out of the area so new blood can come in. And it feels really good on the belly of the biceps as well. Even though I strained the tendon, my bicep itself has also been sore, and this has been helping out. And so what I've also been doing is kind of rotating my arm, making sure I'm getting the entire arm. And another thing that I've been doing for my brachioradialis, on my forearm, is I've actually been going like this and kind of leaning on my body and trying to massage through the area as well. And when I first started doing this, it actually hurt a lot and the area was pretty inflamed. But now that I've been doing this, I've noticed it's going down a lot and it feels really good, and it's been really helping with the healing process. And so typically what I'll do is I'll foam roll while I'm watching TV, maybe for like a half hour, 45 minutes. And I've been doing both arms, even though this one hurts the most and this one's kind of okay. You still want to make sure you're doing both sides just to make sure if there's anything going on, you can help fix it and help it heal it quicker. This is called the Thera-Cane, and I love this. This tool actually is good for a lot of things. For those of you who remember last year when I talked about when I almost blew out my AC joint playing football with my friends, and this is a story that I told Lionsgate like 6 months after we had our shoot. So I had a DVD shoot. I had to film 3 20-minute hardcore workouts, like total body circuits. And 13 days before that was Thanksgiving, and I was playing football with my friends, and I happened to hit somebody really hard, and like this whole area just like, it felt like my shoulder went inside and popped back out again. And my AC joint was inflamed like crazy. By the end of the day, I couldn't even lift my arm like this. And we had to drive to New York and do Black Friday shopping and all this fun junk. Anyways, this saved my life because the whole time we were driving, it's like a 4-hour drive, I was just digging into my shoulder and digging into this whole area, and I was able to help myself and actually had it better within 13 days of the shoot. Like I was crapping my pants. I wasn't going to be able to do this shoot with Lionsgate. Anyways, Moving on, the Thera-Cane. This has actually been a really helpful tool with my bicep injury as well, because you can do a couple different things with it. When using a tool like this, obviously it has these points on it, so you can dig real deep into the muscle tissue. If you just like pick this tool up off the ground and decide to start digging into your body, it's not gonna feel as good or be as effective if you were to warm up first. Maybe you take a hot shower, maybe you do some cardio, maybe you do some light exercising just to get the body moving and the muscles warmed up. Because I noticed that after, say, doing cardio or taking a nice hot shower or whatever, that things are much looser. And then I don't have to apply as much pressure to go deeper to self-massage with this tool. So keep that in mind when using something like this. But what I've been doing is utilizing these different knobs here and starting from the top and just kind of feeling, it's gonna take some time for you to learn your body and see what hurts and where things originate. And just because something hurts here or here, it doesn't mean there's not a problem lower or higher that's going on that's also, pulling strain. So I've noticed that I have tightness in my shoulder. You have the bicep that connects up here as well. The tendon connects up here as well. So I've been starting here, kind of working through this area. I'm not trying to kill myself. I'm just applying enough pressure to kind of self-massage the area out a bit, try to separate the muscle tissue and the bellies of the muscle, okay? And then what I'll do is I'll kind of I'll work this area for a while, then I'll work my way down into the bicep. And when working the bicep, start from the top and go right down and try and separate the bicep bellies like this. It feels great. And then what I also try to do is like turn my hand and turn my arm as I do it as well. Believe it or not, that actually helps. And if you don't want to push it into yourself, another thing that works great is you can hold it against you like this, and then you can actually kind of just pull your arm instead of moving the tool. So going like that. And then another area that I've also been working out, obviously, is the brachioradialis, and this is actually where it feels the best. And I'll actually sit down in bed while I'm watching TV, and I'll grind this area out nice and slow and just kind of squeeze and get in there as deep as I can. And then as I'm doing this as well, I'll try to rotate my arm, get in nice and deep. That hurts a lot, but it feels really good. And like I said, you can utilize other knobs on here as well to get nice and deep. Rotate your arm, make sure things are moving. And this is basically what I've been doing for the past 2 to 3 weeks, and it's been helping out a lot in terms of healing the injury. When I first did it, I tried working out the next week in the gym. I couldn't even do bicep curls. Like, I would do 2 or 3 repetitions even with light weight, and it would feel like my arms were so pumped they were gonna explode. There was a lot of inflammation in the area, and it was very painful. So these are things that I've learned that have helped me recover from my injury. So I want to share these tips with you guys. And so hopefully none of you injure yourselves now that you understand what to do, especially when setting up for a deadlift. So remember, you want to pretend like your arms are steel rods and your hands are hooks. So when you get down and grab the bar, none of this is moving. You're just pushing through your feet and your hips and pulling the weight up. Because if you have any slight bend, even if it's the smallest degree of bend, you can cause a bicep tendon tear or strain. I hope the information in this video helped you guys out. Be sure to like and hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't already, be sure to join us on muscularstrength.com and make your profile today. And as always, more good stuff coming soon. See you guys. I don't even remember who I stole this from, but I definitely stole this from someone. I did not pay for this. Oh man. Anyways.